Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Notre Dame fans. Whenever you are tuning in to this week's Notre Dame recruiting update, you might be watching live with us. You might be watching back as a pod or watching back on YouTube, listening to this as a podcast. Really appreciate you all for making us a part of your day. It's Mike Singer and Kyle Kelly. We are the Blue and Gold recruiting writers and got a lot to talk about. 21 official visitors on campus this weekend at Notre Dame. I can't imagine you did the research, Kyle. I know I didn't. It's got to be a record for recruiting weekend. If not, you know, it's up there. Like that's a lot. It's a lot of official visitors. And Kyle, you were
I did the
outside the.
research, by the way, right?
How far can you go back on OV weekends? Or are you just
Oh,
talking about the Freeman
just
era?
Freeman. Yeah, Freeman era.
Yeah, this is a
Yeah,
record then,
that's the easiest way to do it.
and it is a
But
record.
anyway, yes, yep.
Okay. Kyle was outside the Goog today. Recruits walking in off the bus. High majority of them got into town on Thursday night, stayed at the Morrison Hotel, and yeah, they arrived this morning. So Kyle, just how was that? I mean, you wrote a whole observations piece, but how was it? Just any quick nuggets you can share with us on these kids getting to or walking into the Goog?
Yeah, I wrote about I think 1,200 words about it
I don't know
this
how the
morning
hell
on
you
Blue
did
and
that.
Gold.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's funny because like I was talking to Jack Sobel, our beat writer at Blue and Gold, how we were or how I was going to write this observation story. He's like, "How are you going to get 400 words?" And I was like, I'm thinking in my head, like I always ask them about that with practice observations, and they always end up writing like 800 to 1,000 words. So it ends up all working out. Even though kids were just literally walking from the bus into the Goog. I mean, there were still some things to see. Um, if you want to judge the mood of some of these guys, you can tell like a Caden Finley and some of the guys that had longer travel days. Probably a little tired. It's an early morning on the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
But some of the other guys who were coming in from the East Coast, like Joey O'Brien, Kari Adams, those guys were super excited to be there. A lot of energy there. That was the big thing that I can say. Myron Tagovailoa Mosa was greeting all the recruits as they walked into the Goog. They were all screaming, cheering, and yelling in the facility. That's at least what I heard. Of course, I obviously was not in there, but just hearing all that in the background, and seems like there was a lot of energy and excitement. And I know that was a priority this weekend because, like, believe me, Notre Dame knows just as darn well as we do that this is a pivotal moment for the program's future with the amount of kids that are coming on campus. It's the biggest one of the Freeman era. And it's not even just the number of quantity, the quantity of recruits on campus, it's the quality as well. There's some really elite guys. And just judging by the mood on campus this morning, I think that it could potentially be a pretty successful weekend for Notre Dame.
Hold on one second. This is kind of one of those shows where I might have to pop out, like I did on Sunday. We'll see. Just get some text here and there. Very, very busy. Kyle, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like, this is gonna be. I'm very glad I have you on here because if I had to do this by myself and talk about 21 recruits, I couldn't. Like, I've talked about these guys and wrote about these guys so freaking much at Blue and Gold this week, whether it's this YouTube channel or on our website. I've written so much. I got to come up with something fresh to say. We'll see. So, folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. Head to blueandgold.com for, again, let me just pull up the website. I mean, the recruiting coverage. I mean, you had Kyle's observations. I wrote 3 burning questions for Notre Dame's crucial recruiting weekend. Chad Simmons did. Chad Simmons' article is really good this morning, looking at like 5 key targets. Wilt Fong wrote about Notre Dame in a big weekend visit primer. I mean, I wrote about behind the scenes of a Notre Dame official visit weekend and like what happens on an OV. I wrote about it. Kyle wrote key storylines. I wrote a full in-depth preview. Kyle analyzed Notre Dame's June official visit success, which we're not going to talk about today, but I thought that was a really good read. And yeah, so blueandgold.com. If you want more, go to Blue and Gold. It's the place to be. Let's talk about Roback real quick. I look fly in my Roback. I'm rocking the Notre Dame Golden Domer. When you use the promo code BlueGold20, you will get 20% off your entire order. So get yourself something. Get something for your brother, your dad, your uncle, your cousin, your friend. Buy yourself something for Father's Day. Like, this is the time of year you're golfing, you want to wear your Roback. Like, this stuff looks awesome. I'm wearing my Roback. I mean, for most shows, because it's just a comfortable, nice polo to wear, I get compliments all the time. I wore this Notre Dame Fighting Irish polo not too long ago, and my sister-in-law was like, "Why are you so fancy right now?" I was like, "I'm just wearing my Roback. I feel like I'm just wearing something I'd lounge around in the house in." But apparently I look fancy. Go to roback.com, RHOBACK.com, and check out their performance polos, their Notre Dame line. I mean, what else do they have? Crew necks, Q-zips, hoodies, tees, shorts, swim trunks, jogger pants, so much more. Go to roback.com, RHOBACK.com, and use the promo code BlueGold20 for your good for 20% off your first order at Roback. All right, loaded official visit weekend, Kyle. And we're just going to go through all of them, and we may have a special guest today. Kyle, you have no idea who I'm talking about, but it may happen. It may not. We'll see.
I got a good idea. Good guess, maybe.
Thomas Davis Jr., Notre Dame linebacker, commits. Let me take a sip of the coffee. From the Charlotte area, son of Thomas Davis Sr., who played in the NFL for the Panthers, and of course, the Georgia Bulldogs. Before that, Davis officially visited Georgia at the end of May, and I think that was probably those close to him saying, "Hey, listen, we have this weekend free. Why don't we go over to Athens, watch you hear from them, talk to them?" I think Davis is locked in with the Irish, though. I think he will buck a trend of Notre Dame commits who take official visits elsewhere, ending up signing with another school. I think he's going to, again, end that streak. And yeah, Kyle, big OV here to make sure that Notre Dame's got Davis locked up. But I mean, look, the guy's been like the lead recruiter of the class. I got sources telling me that, like, of all the commits, he's the most locked in, even though he took an OV elsewhere. Like, that's how they feel about him in the Goog.
We'll see. I tend to do a lot of thoughts on this. I guess are just the stats and the numbers behind it. And fact of the matter is that every Notre Dame commit.
Dude, do you want to have do you want a friendly wager on this?
No.
How
I'm
about
just saying
like
that
loser of the bet has to wear a leprechaun hat for the entire show,
no,
or
loser of the bet has to go into our photo archive and
no, it's got to be
photo
something
ID.
for this show. Something. I have to wear some silly glasses for the entire something because I'm willing to have a fun little wager on this.
I'm
I
not
think he
saying he's going to
sticks.
flip. I'm just going to say, just the fact of the matter is that every Notre Dame commit that has officially visited elsewhere under the Freeman era has ended up elsewhere. So
Okay, I said that. I know that. But do you want to add any other information? Like, do you want to add more
No,
context? No. So just
I
that.
gave you the context. Well,
But nothing else past
but
that. That's
you
just it.
didn't.
We're just
You
gonna leave it
didn't.
at
You
there.
didn't let me. You didn't let me finish. I was going to say that I kind of feel the same way as you. I feel like he sticks, but I just need to be proven wrong.
When you are proven wrong, leprechaun hat. I think I have one in my office somewhere. I think I popped it on. Leprechaun outfit. And all of the recruiting staff was wearing leprechaun outfits and doing a whole jig when the recruits were walking in today, right?
No, that was
We,
only a
we
Chad
are
Bowden thing.
I'm kidding. Yeah, we're going in alphabetical order here, and it just happens that the two we're starting with all the commits, and then we'll get into the targets. The first two commits are being pursued by other schools. Dylan Faison. Kyle, you had a really good point on the message board this week that Miami doesn't have a varsity lacrosse team. They probably just have like a club team or something. So Dylan Faison, of course, the younger brother of Jordan Faison, he did some 7-on-7s with his high school team at I think he did it like FAU or FIU, and then Miami, and then the Miami staff said, "Hey," after he balled out at a 7-on-7 camp with his team at Miami, and they said, "You want to come back for our Legends camp or whatever they call it?" And he got an offer from the Hurricanes, which, to my knowledge, is the only other football offer he's got. He committed to Notre Dame before I think any other school knew who he was. So I think it was a pretty cool thing for him, being an Irish commit for 15 months, to finally get another scholarship offer, and it's from a school that's fairly local to him. So I think that was a pretty cool thing for him. But he's a 5-star lacrosse player. His brother goes to Notre Dame. He's been, again, committed to the Irish for so long. Again, 5-star lacrosse guy. He's going to play lacrosse at Notre Dame as well. And Miami doesn't offer lacrosse. So, yeah, good luck to the Hurricanes there. On campus this weekend. Should know more where things stand after the OV weekend.
I said the same thing when Thomas Davis Jr. visited Georgia, that, and I know Notre Dame has recruited linebackers extremely well, especially since Freeman's got here, being that he has the linebacker and defensive coordinator pedigree. But if Georgia's willing to kind of jump through hoops to recruit one-year linebacker commits, I think that's a pretty good tip of the cap to the type of prospects Notre Dame's recruiting. And, Dylan Faison's a recruit that is, I think overlooked would be putting it lightly, just because he committed on the spot to Notre Dame and really has not. Miami was the only other school he reported an offer from. And Mike, Florida recruiting much better than me, but I got to imagine you can zoom in on the map there in the South Florida area and throw a dot on the map, and you're going to be able to find a pretty good wide receiver in that end of the country. And the fact that Miami is willing to pursue Faison despite that, I think that's a pretty good sign for Notre Dame about the type of talent that they have in Faison. So ultimately, I think he sticks to. Now, the only way this thing could get really dicey is if, he decides that he only wants to play football in college.
Yeah.
And Miami's been known to, there's nothing
Throwbacks,
against
say
him.
it.
They're good with
Throwback.
NIL. I'm sick of people thinking NIL is a boogeyman, but we'll see. I think Notre Dame gets them locked in this weekend.
I could see the Miami staff and Faison's conversations being like, "Hey, you have an offer. Do you want to come for an OV in the June 20th? If not, that's okay. Take care. If so, cool." I can't, I would be surprised if they're contacting Faison every day. Kyle, do you ever text Dylan Faison? Have you ever exchanged him a lot of messages with him?
In the past, not recently.
Yeah, he's not a big texter. He's not a
Part of
big
the reason
social
why
media guy.
part of the reason why my communication's more so been in the past with Dylan.
Yeah. I talk to him a lot, or have over the past year, and yeah, it's 4 days. Sometimes they'll respond, which I love. By the way, I love that. I love when recruits. For me, it's kind of a sidetrack. I don't love when my offensive linemen are big social media guys. I don't. I didn't love Blake. Blake Fisher's was a little bit different because he was the lead face of the class, but I don't love drama with my offensive linemen. But recruits all it's good. It's I always tell people it's not good for my business, but I love it. They don't need to get back to us at all. They can do whatever the heck they want. But anyways, I think I don't think there's really anything there to see if he takes the OV, or he decides I just want to play football, or he says I don't want to go to the same school as my brother, which for me, I would not have wanted to go to the same school as my brother who played D1 ball, which I only got recruited Division III and NAIA, but I would not have wanted to play with my brother. Anyways, Tiki Hola, Bastard, Texas defensive.
Real quick, can I make a quick note on that? It's just really quick that when Dylan was getting recruited by Notre Dame, when Jordan was getting recruited by Notre Dame, Dylan actually liked Notre Dame way more than Jordan at the start. So ironic.
That's awesome. And yeah, Miami's the only other offer he's reported, but I remember in the fall, people talking about the Gators want to get him for a game. USC, maybe this was earlier in the year. USC and Chad Bowden wanted to get him out there. So there's definitely been others, and I would imagine that the kid has kind of stopped those advances early on. Tiki Hola, 6'2.5", 300 pounds, Bastrop, Texas. People are very down on D-line recruiting right now, and they forget that Tiki Hola just committed to Notre Dame not too long ago, and offers from Notre Dame. Holy crap! I forgot about some of these offers: Notre Dame, Texas, USC, Georgia, Oregon, Miami, Tennessee, Michigan, Auburn. When you get into the second page, that's usually a good sign. But yeah, people. I mean, this D-line class is gonna be fine, guys. Don't you worry about it. But yeah, Tiki Holla, quick thoughts, Kyle. 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
No, yeah, the same take as me, man. Like, people are down on interior defensive line recruiting, and I think they forget about Tiki Hola. Very promising prospect on the interior.
Noah Grubbs, Notre Dame quarterback commit from Lake Mary in the Orlando area, was on campus. We saw him for Irish Invasion hanging out. Yeah, I was on campus from, I think it was May 31st to June 7th. I think he left the day after Invasion, and then gets back up 6 days later. Really looking forward to talking to Grubbs on Sunday about not only like this weekend and how recruiting went, but also to ask him what the hell did you do in South Bend for 8 days. I'm sure I know the answer. It's really football. Like he spent a lot of time with Gino. Like I think that was a really good thing for Noah to kind of get an early, like, look, being an early enrollee and being there for spring ball is helpful as a Notre Dame football player, right? Now for these quarterbacks, every year Notre Dame wants them to be able to go through bowl practices. Oh, my boss just said thank you for crushing it on something. I love to see that. Now Notre Dame wants their quarterback commits to be there for bowl practices, which they're allowed to do. But now you're saying in the summer, Notre Dame can get the kid on campus for a week and they can go through the playbook, watch so much film together, work out, like all these different things. Really good opportunity for Grubbs to get a head start on the head start of the head start, right? Spring ball is a head start. Bowl practice is a head start on the head start. And then you spend a week in June mentally getting even more of a head start. I think that's huge. Do you have anything to add, Kyle? Tyler Merrill, 6'5", 330-pound offensive lineman, number 4 interior O lineman in the country. Locked in, man. He and Ben Nichols, who's next up in the alphabetical order, 6'5", 335 pounds. These dudes are monsters. If there's a belly flop competition, which there may be at Freeman's house, if the pool's ready to go, these two would be the heavy favorites. Locked in, these two are, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we skipped over Sullivan Garvin because he's on campus too for his official visit.
Yep.
And when I saw them today, I put in my observation story that those 3 guys are 100% your first off the bus guys. All 3 of them are over 6'5" and like legitimately over 315 pounds. So 3 massive human beings that Joe Rudolph really likes, has had them on campus multiple times at camp. I think Rudolph feels pretty good about this offensive line class, and they're looking to build on it this weekend.
Pretty cool. Javian Osborne, when he walked up out of the bus to walk into the Goog, just that big Javian Osborne smile on his face. One of my favorite recruits to talk with. Very mature, chill, down to earth kid, and yeah, I feel like when he got his offer from Notre Dame and stuff, and Notre Dame was being mentioned as like a school on the outside looking in the winters, like, yeah, Notre Dame's not getting some elite running back from Texas, and here we are. He is rock solid with the Irish, and messaging. I message with him a lot. I'm sure you do too, Kyle. Like he is very big on wanting to recruit guys to Notre Dame, especially those in the Lone Star State.
Future captain, in my opinion, for Notre Dame football. I mean, he's that type of personality. And ironically, like Jeremiah Love is the opposite. Jeremiah is very cool and like kind of calm, just a really chill guy and not very forward. But Javian Osborne is the opposite. And Osborne is similarly rated to as Jeremiah Love, probably at what Jeremiah Love was at this time in his recruitment. And Javian will have the chance to climb up the rankings a little bit more with a strong senior season, but Javian's a really good fit for Notre Dame. And yeah, he was certainly all smiles when he stepped off the bus this morning. You can tell that he's feeling very strong about his pledge, and he's part of a pretty impressive running back duo. First one here for Jaywan Sider.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the other one in just a minute. And then here's your fourth offensive line commitment, Gregory Patrick, who Notre Dame bullied, Michigan and Michigan State to land 6'4.5", 280 pounds. When you think Gregory Patrick and what he's going to be at the next level, think Anthony Knapp. That's been the comparison that I've gotten.
Yeah, I mentioned with Nichols, Merrill, and Garvin, Notre Dame's three other offensive line commits that they're first off the bus. Patrick's not really at that point yet. He's got an interesting build. I mean, I thought today, I was like, wow, this guy looks like a tight end. Like he's really slender, but so he carries his weight super well, being at 280 pounds. And I've seen Gregory play, and I've always felt like he's the best offensive lineman in the class for Notre Dame so far. Just very agile. His dad played offensive line at Michigan State, so he has the genes. And I think he has the ability to play offensive tackle too. And we can't forget that the reason Anthony Knapp is at Notre Dame is because of Joe Rudolph. Joe Rudolph started recruiting Knapp when Rudolph was at Virginia Tech, and Rudolph stood on the table for Knapp at Notre Dame when they had a lot of other targets on the board. So if Rudolph is willing to do the same with Patrick, which he did, believe me, like you remember like when Notre Dame got the 3 interior line commits and everyone was like, so what's going to happen to Patrick? Well, guess what? Joe Rudolph was at his house in January and just kept fighting for him.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great gift for Notre Dame that sometimes, we overlook those offensive linemen, but I think Gregory Patrick could really become a special player for the Irish.
Notre Dame fans, if you have not done so yet, please hit the thumbs up on this video. It helps support what we're doing here, Blue and Gold. It's free. You just have to be logged into a Gmail or YouTube account and hit the thumbs up. Kind of helps spread, our YouTube channel. YouTube sees more people hitting the thumbs up. They're like, oh, people must like this. So please do that. I'm enjoying going through these commits because some of these guys we haven't talked about in so long. I think it's a good reminder for everyone to be like, oh, yeah, that kid is big time and Notre Dame has them. And it's definitely good. Patrick, I love the Knapp comparison. And I remember when Knapp committed to Notre Dame, a lot of Irish fans were like, why are we taking this kid right now? And then look what he did as a true freshman. Aiden Pouncey, what a freak. I mean, like.
Why haven't you told me about this kid?
What do you mean?
Not to steal your thunder here, but when I saw this kid step off the bus, I was like, it caught my attention. Like he has got some serious length. Like you can tell he is a dude. This is a big pickup for Notre Dame. And I didn't realize Aiden Pouncey was this caliber player.
Yeah, he's not that different than Joey O'Brien. The gameplay, Pouncey's got some shit to him.
I figured that out. Believe me, I thought it was Joey O'Brien because Aiden changed his hair. I don't know when you saw him if he had a different hairstyle, but
was it shorter or? I can look at your picture.
Yeah, I don't want to get. I don't want to get
good.
The term, but it's different for sure.
Two-way player, and when you watch Pouncey's film, one of the first plays, he like runs back a kick and he kind of, does a little thing to the sideline and blows a kiss or something and gets flagged for it. Yeah, don't do that shit. But I like the shit to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Pouncey is not much of a attention media guy, which is not a bad thing if you are. It's not a bad thing if you aren't. It's not good if you are, good if you're not. There's just something to me about those kids who they're just about ball, man. care about that stuff. Pouncey does not. He's not like an interview guy. Like when I sat down with him, and I made a trip out there to see him. We kind of talked about it, and I was like, man, this is the first time I'm ever interviewing. He was like, yeah, I just kind of don't really like doing, phone interviews and stuff. Like, you're just kind of talking to me about it. I was like, I love it. But now, since I went and saw Pouncey, and we're pretty cool now. He's I'm looking forward to catching up with him after his trip. But yeah, again, I think that's, if you're a football guy and someone says about you, you got some shit to you, that's one of the biggest compliments you can get. And like, I think another one is football speed over track speed. I think that's a huge compliment as well. Chasten Smith, I think a forgotten about guy in this class. Recently transferred to Knoxville Catholic, so he's a Knoxville kid who went to a boarding school in Chattanooga for a year. Now he's back home, committed to, I don't think Tennessee was really ever a school that he considered a whole. He did have an offer from them, right?
Yeah, they weren't highly considered at all, to my knowledge.
Yeah. So he picked Notre Dame over Texas A&M and Clemson, which I think the day of his commitments when we learned that, he's actually picking the Fighting Irish.
That was wild.
Kind of flew under the radar. We did not expect that one. My people at Clemson that I know thought he was going there. So, he committed to Notre Dame December 1st, and he was someone who's like, this kind of seems like a CJ May or, the Nate Roberts, the tight end from Oklahoma. It seems like did you commit a little too early? Are you sure? This kid's been locked in. I don't think he's visited anywhere else. Every time I talk to him, he's just good. I really think with Chad Smith, like, as long as if Mike Bickens were to leave before signing day, it could get dicey. I'm sure other schools would go crazy and hit him up. But otherwise, this kid's, he's good. And that's my opinion. He has never said that to me, but that's just kind of my thought on Chad Smith. So yeah, 6'1", 170 pounds, 4-star, number 285 overall player, number 26 corner in the country. Kyle, any thoughts on him real quick before we move on?
No, not really. If Mike Mickens likes him, that's good enough for me. And, Mickens obviously feels strongly about Smith. And I mean, good on the Notre Dame staff to keep him locked in, because I was with you when he committed. I thought this was going to be a recruitment that, we were going to have to stay after for a while. But
yeah, who else we said that about?
Credit to him, man.
Chris Burgess. We said that about Chris Burgess and that kid.
I still can't believe that.
You know what, man? He just enrolled. I was going to text him and be like, dude, you're the best. But he just enrolled. I think I only met Chris once. Was it the All-American Bowl? Was I there? Or did we not have anyone there? Have I met Chris? I don't remember. But, dude, that kid's a rock star. People talking about Notre Dame needs to land more highly talented or highly ranked Chicago kids. I hear you. But do you remember the top 100 D end? It has landed, 6 months ago. Anyways, Jonas Walton, Carrollton Central. Dude, this kid's awesome. Number 134 overall player, number 10 running back. If you're just joining us, Mike Sear and Kyle Kelly talking about Notre Dame's 21 official visitors this weekend. So Notre Dame wines and dines, not wines. You know what I'm saying. Rolls out the red carpet. Well, USC is actually doing that. So they're literally doing it. I'm talking about figuratively. 12 commits, 9 targets. We are finishing up. We have Walton's the last commit that we're going through. Then we're going to talk about the uncommitted guys. So if you're just joining us, what is going on? Please hit the thumbs up on this video. Jonas Walton, number 134 overall player, number 10 running back, committed to Notre Dame over Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, long offer list. Awesome kid, highly academic, big-time ball player, overly productive. Him and Javian Osborne have a combined 9,000 rushing yards. Just superb talents. Walton looks fully locked in with the Irish. After he committed, he tweeted out, canceled all my other OVs. And, man, great family. Walton's an awesome kid. Similar story to Javian Osborne was a kid on the Alabama-Georgia border who he's got offers from Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee and Florida. Yeah, good luck, Notre Dame. Notre Dame gets him. Oh, and even after Dylan left, Notre Dame got him, like, I think fairly easily. Osborne committed, and I think Walton went, Notre Dame's where I want to be. Why am I wasting any more time? And went ahead and picked the Irish.
Yeah, it's I'm going to be interested to see once these guys get to campus how they differentiate themselves in the running back room, because I mean both are really similar body types. I know their game is a little bit different. I think Javian Osborne has a little bit more breakaway speed. Walton does some really great things in between the tackles. So yeah, that's going to be something I'm going to be looking forward to next year, because I mean, there's a lot of types of these running backs in the Notre Dame depth chart right now. When you think of Aeneas Williams and Nolan James, so either way, two really great gets between Walton and Osborne.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we got a question about the best running back class since when, and I did a big story about that a couple weeks ago, and I don't have the data in front of me, but let's just say it's top 3, maybe top 2 running back class that Notre Dame's had in the 21st century. So pretty solid, I would say, for Jaywan Sider's first recruiting class at Notre Dame.
Swandong said, do you think that many recruits showing up at once helps or hurts chances with some of these guys like coaches not being able to spend as much time with each one? Great question. Very common question. Had this over the years. I wrote an article, Swandong, you're a member of the Blue and Gold Message Board, so you can read it, that I wrote about, like, this is what happens. It's, bro, like, no. It can be, but you have so many commits. The commits don't need to have their hand held. Like these O linemen, dude, they just want to hang out and eat food. Like they're good. So, like the DBs, you have 3. So Mike Mickens and Javon Conlon, I think they can handle 3 defensive backs, uncommitted guys. There's 3 receivers. I think Notre Dame can handle 3 receivers. They got a big staff. They have a full recruiting staff. Each position coach has its own assistant as well, I think, or most of them. Yeah, so like Dom Spalding is the receiver assistant. Like these, like assistants / like the assistant to the assistant, the analyst, right? These guys are very involved in recruiting. That's been a change at Notre Dame since Chad Bowden left for USC. Marcus Schumann really wanted to empower the analysts, where I don't think that was happening before. So like we talk a lot about Nick Sebastian and how Al, how he does such a good job, with Al Washington. So yeah, I mean, there's 2 tight ends. I think Denbrock and Harris Biven can handle that. Is it Rob Delaney works with Joe Rudolph on the offensive line? So now you have like 2 people at each position. You have a full recruiting office. You have coordinator, head coach, like tour guides. Do a lot of time. Like they're good. The recruits. I'll end with this: the recruits hang out with each other. Like they want to spend time with each other. You don't want to be the only kid there. That's not fun. You want to see who you're going to be with for the next few years, and then as the day ends, you spend time with your player host. So, like, dude, Jeremiah Love might be hosting Javian Osborne this weekend, or Jadarian Price might be hosting Jonas Walton. Like, then they get to hang out with their player host. Like, so don't think of it as an adult. Think of it as like a kid. They just want to hang out with their friends and eat really good food and play fun games. For a lot of them. Yeah, there's a lot of meetings, positional meetings, group meetings, but there's a ton of one-on-one time. Like Notre Dame's not putting out this big weekend and then being like, oh shit, we can't even spend time with these kids like that. It's not really like that. Kyle, anything to add on that?
No, that was really well summarized. I was going to say the exact same. Well, not the exact same thing, but just basically how I think that it is probably a net positive that Notre Dame has so many recruits on campus this weekend, just for the fact that they do all get to spend time around each other, especially because a lot of these guys are national recruits, and they've crossed paths with each other on lots of visits before. So there's already, previously established connections between a lot of these guys. So I think that it works into Notre Dame's favor.
Yeah. So let's dive into the commits now. Excuse me, the targets, hopeful commits. Kari Adams, 6'1", 180 pounds. Man, this is Kyle. I want to hear your thoughts on this because Steve Wiltfong has tweeted Notre Dame, Penn State with the most buzz. He tweeted that maybe last week. Chad Simmons wrote an article, and you can find it at blueandgold.com. So if you want more intel, check that out. Talked about Notre Dame, Michigan, and Oregon for Kari. So we'll get to Joey O'Brien in a little bit. I don't think Joey would head to Oregon. I could see Kari Adams go to Oregon. That's just kind of my read. But if it's Notre Dame or Michigan for Kari Adams, man, from what I know about the kid, is Notre Dame about to pull off an upset with this recruitment? He's announcing June 28th, so 15 days away.
Sensing a theme here, and we've talked about this in past shows. What's the intel right now with Kari Adams? It's Notre Dame and X school, Notre Dame and Y school. So Notre Dame being the common theme there is that I think that's a good sign. And in just doing some reporting on Kari Adams' recruitment over the last couple months, I was always under the impression that Notre Dame and Penn State were the top two. And I know Michigan's come on strong lately. They had them up on campus last weekend. Oregon's been known to recruit nationally and has had some success with defensive back recruiting out there on the East Coast and the Mid-Atlantic. So I wouldn't count them out. But I think Notre Dame's sneaky here. And if you're a defensive back, how could you not want to play for Mike Mickens with the success that he's had producing in NFL draft picks? And when I saw Kari Adams on campus, it was a good reminder to me, hey, this is let's not overlook this. This is a pretty elite recruit. Look at his profile right there. He's the number 30 overall player on three's rankings.
Real quick. So Rivals has him ranked number 246 overall. That Rivals ranking is going to become on threes ranking is going away, and on threes ranking is becoming the Rivals ranking. So for this kid specifically, wipe Rivals away. So now it goes. So if you're watching on YouTube, boom, Rivals is now gone. And you see where it says on three, that is now Rivals. So he's going to be 30 national, 36 national, and 68. So he's going to be this Rivals ranking going away and on three becoming the new Rivals ranking. Maybe you can word that better, Kyle. I hope it makes sense.
That's the only way you can word it.
Yeah, it's on threes is going away.
When we talk about on three moving forward,
July 1st, Justin.
Yeah, when we talk about on three moving forward, it's only going to be pertinent to college football coverage, NIL coverage, and transfer portal coverage. Anything regarding a high school prospect or high school recruit, that's all going to be Rivals. That's all going to be
for the national level.
Yes.
So for us, we're blue.
Well, Rivals is part of the On Three network now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So
it's
basically
under the On Three umbrella.
Yeah.
Kyle, how is your spreadsheet doing?
So you want a story about that actually?
If it's quick.
So I started my spreadsheet before I got to On Three, because I worked at Rivals, and when I worked at Rivals, I obviously did not have an On Three email, but I was using my Northwestern email when I worked for Rivals, and I had all these phone numbers, all these contacts for all these kids, and I was just updating it as we go per class. It's gone. So no more spreadsheet. Thankfully, I kind of backed off a little bit on doing that for the 26 cycle, so I didn't lose a ton of information. And I mean, to be honest, yeah, I mean, it's been fine. So the spreadsheet is in my head. I have actually thought about putting it back onto a spreadsheet, but I don't know if it's worth the time, to be honest. I don't reference it all that often. I think it's just something like I want to do, but it doesn't really become all that useful. So,
Yeah.
but I have other spreadsheets. I'm compiling those on all the Notre Dame historical
Yeah.
recruiting data. So
There's something to like whenever you like email a business and they're just like at Gmail, it's like, it's fine, but how legit does it feel? But when you get that like at on3.com email, it's pretty, it's cool. When I lost my USF email, that was sad. It was sad. Anyways, all right, that's Kari Adams. Do we have anything else to say about Kari Adams? So it's like Notre Dame has maybe not been considered like for O'Brien and Finley, huge names. Notre Dame's been considered a leader or co-leader, or at least in the top two forever. With Adams, it's been like Notre Dame's in that lead group. But how many people have been saying Notre Dame's the team to watch here? No. So I think like Notre Dame could be considered like a maybe come in and this could be an upset that Notre Dame would eventually land him. Do you agree with me on that?
it would be an upset.
Yeah, when you look at this recruitment as a whole, like who would have like it's tomato.
I think Caden Finley would be an upset if Notre Dame landed
See,
him.
so here's the thing with Caden Finley, 6'1", 200 pounds from Lido, Texas, nation's number 123 overall player, number 18 wide receiver. Notre Dame badly wants him. Longtime target, pot of gold kid last year. Dude, sources around Notre Dame very optimistic, confident, like that they're going to get this kid. But then I talked to national people who cover Finley and people close to the Texas program, and they think it's just a matter of time before Finley ends up at Notre Dame or Texas. Like he could commit to Notre Dame, and Texas is going to keep recruiting Caden Finley. So, but this is another no nonsense kid. Like he's not a big media guy. You know what? Let's go to Caden Finley's Twitter. This is going to be fun right here. All right. Caden Finley. Scrolling his Twitter. All right, posted his junior season stats. 81 receptions, 1,432 yards, 21 touchdowns. This was May 3rd. You scroll again, May 1, your boy's article. After that, April 16th, he retweeted me at the Taco Bell right outside his high school with a welcome to elite. Like that was sick. That was awesome. And then Chicago Haas says, in a great food state, you go to Taco Bell. It wasn't open. I just took a picture there. Okay, everyone relax. Like the kid's, he's not a big social media kid. I wouldn't be surprised if he committed to Notre Dame and then shut it down. Like I think Texas will keep recruiting him, but I don't see him as a flipping kid. Of course, his dad played at Texas before a career with the Green Bay Packers, catching touchdowns from Aaron Rodgers. So that's also important to note. Caden Finley grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. He thinks of Green Bay positively. When I talked to him after his visit in January, he's like, man, like South Bend reminds me of Green Bay. Like it's all about Notre Dame football here, or Green Bay Packers football in Green Bay. And he likes it. He's not scared of the cold. Again, that's where he grew up. He would have at least lived. I think Finley stopped playing in 2013. So how old would Finley be? At least like 6 or 7. He lived there till. So I'm guessing he's been back there since. So I don't know, dude. Texas A&M's running third. I think Notre Dame gets him. I do. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 50 times with receiver recruiting. Shame on me by now. But in a vacuum, what I hear about Caden Finley, I think Notre Dame gets him. But if you do want to look at this from a lens of Notre Dame recruiting out-of-state kids when he's a legacy of that school or something like that, you could have a different outcome. But
Hello, Thomas Davis.
yeah, Davis one's I really think that's a unique one. But Finley, I mean, Davis has been committed for 8 months, 7 months. But what do you think about Finley?
I don't know what I think, to be honest. Because I'm with you. I've heard Notre Dame on one side and I've heard Texas on the other. And I just cannot see a kid from Texas whose dad played at Texas going to play his football at Notre Dame. But Jaden Greathouse did it. And I honestly think that Caden Finley will look at that and see the type of success Jaden Greathouse has had at Notre Dame. And I think that may work in Notre Dame's favor. And here's the other thing. What does Texas's commit list look like with wide receivers? Like, I know they're still recruiting him, and obviously he's a priority for them. But I know they just got a wide receiver commit in Cohen Brown. I think they have another one on the board.
Chris Stewart, and Cohen Brown. So they got 2.
So
Notre Dame's got 2.
yeah, I mean, let's be honest though. If Caden Finley were to choose Notre Dame, like he's going to be the guy. Like, he's going to be the headliner of that class. I think it's more meaningful to be just in terms of like depth charts and opportunity to see the field. I think there's more of that there for Caden Finley at Notre Dame compared to Texas. So we'll see, man. I mean, we don't talk enough about that visit he made in the beginning of the month. That kind of under the radar trip he made to South Bend, unofficial visit. Like, I think something like that bodes well for Notre Dame. Like, you're not just going to make that trip up at the beginning of June just for no reason.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, man. I'm almost certain I saw his dad on campus today. He's a big guy. So
yeah.
And of course, we know Notre Dame's done well with the NFL legacy recruits.
Let's talk about Preston Frizel from Central Catholic in Toledo. Tight ends. You think he was 6'4"?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Lean right now, not highly ranked right now according to the On3 industry ranking, but On3 has him very close to. He's just on the cusp of a 4-star. He's number 17 tight end in the country. Number 16 tight end is a 4, so he's right there. A receiving tight end all the way who Notre Dame would put some weight on him, and he's physical enough that he'll learn how to block. He definitely is a really good receiver. Yeah, I predicted him to Notre Dame this week. Kyle, I'm assume that you would believe that it's probably trending the Irish's way.
I can't say for certain, but it would add up to why that's the case. I mean, if you just look at it, like Preston Frizel, he unofficially visited Miami and Notre Dame last week or 2 weeks ago, and Notre Dame is a school he's returning to. So
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame is making a big move here, and Frizel's from my neck of the woods, so I'm going to be seeing him here pretty soon, and I'll get more of the full picture. But I know Notre Dame is looked at highly around these parts, and when I saw Frizel on campus, I mean, he looks right now like a boundary wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of, he's viewed a little bit more as a wide receiver at the high school level. And I wrote my observations, which please check that out. All my thoughts on some of the guys on campus this morning, all the official visitors, that if Frizel's the type of guy that Notre Dame needs at tight end to stretch the field and become more of a pass catching option. So I would sign off on Notre Dame getting a commitment from him. Obviously, Evan Jacobson's on campus as well, who we think Notre Dame is in the top group for. So I'll be interested to see what comes out of this weekend with tight end recruiting, because they're going to try to get Ian Premer up for the official visit next weekend. Braden Fogel was talked about as a potential visitor for next week. I don't know if that's happening yet. So Frizel and Jacobson could very well become the two guys in the class for Notre Dame at tight end.
Sorry, Kyle, I'm texting somebody.
Yep, I kind of know what's going on as well. So
working on
we'll have a story out on Blue and Gold soon.
Devin Fitzgerald, Phoenix Brophy Prep, 6'2", 185 pounds. really talented, son of Larry Fitzgerald, Notre Dame, Clemson. Who's the third school in the mix? Notre Dame, UCLA, North Carolina.
So I don't want to give away too much of Chad Simmons' Notre Dame intel report this morning on Blue and Gold, but it's Notre Dame and 2 schools in the mix for Devin Fitzgerald, and Clemson is not one of them. So
Can you? I'm sorry. He didn't mention Clemson.
not in the top group for Devin Fitzgerald.
Interesting. I was talking to a Clemson guy, and he thought that Clemson had the lead. So we'll know more about Devin Fitzgerald, but this is his first time visiting since he got his Notre Dame offer. So
here's the thing about Clemson: their wide receiver class is loaded right now. So
yeah. All right, Kyle. I'll give you the floor real quick. Can you talk about Evan Jacobson from Waukee, Iowa?
sure, yeah. This is Notre Dame visit number 2 for him, and after his first trip to Notre Dame in April, Notre Dame grabbed the lead in the recruitment. Jacobson pretty much told me that Notre Dame was setting the pace. Then a lot of schools came out to see him in the spring. Auburn, Texas A&M, Florida State, Iowa State. Just so many top programs across the country, and that leveled the playing field a little bit more. And Evan, he ended up setting a bunch of official visits to these schools. He went and saw Stanford. I think he was already at Missouri. Was recently at Texas A&M, I believe. And he also had OV set to Auburn and Florida State, but those have since come off the board. Jacobson was supposed to officially visit Notre Dame next week, but he moved up his visit to this weekend, which is Notre Dame's major recruiting weekend this year. So I think that's a good sign. He'll be at Iowa State next week. So after that, he's pretty much shutting it down. But
Yeah.
he's 6'5.5" right now, but I think he can get bigger. I saw his dad today on campus. His dad is ginormous. His dad's at least 6'7".
I think Jacobson reports himself as 6'7" or at least 6'6". Let me pull it up.
He's not 6. At least I don't think he's just that tall. He's not as tall as his dad yet. But the reason I thought I said he could get bigger in terms of height was, 1, because of his dad, and 2, he has a brother who has a really cool story, actually. He was a college basketball player, ended up trying out for the New Orleans Saints, and the guy never played college football, and now he plays tight end for the the New Orleans Saints, and he's 6'7". So I think Evan Jacobson can get a little bit taller. I mean, he's already got good size, but
he lists himself as 6'7", 210.
Dude,
which is different, a lot different than it's a lot different than 6'5.5", 230.
He might be, because to be honest, I was looking at all these guys through a camera lens, but I don't know. I just remember seeing his dad today, and his dad was like huge. So maybe that's what's throwing me off. Let's get the measurements, though. Let's figure out what he measured in at. The reason I know so much about his height, honestly, is because when I was writing my story, I was kind of talking about, comparing these guys to current and former Notre Dame players, and I was like, man, this guy looks like Eli Raridan a lot. But then I pulled up Eli's profile, and Eli's 6'7", and I was like, yeah, Eli's taller than Evan Jacobson. He might not be, so we'll see.
Yeah, Tim Hyde said that as well. He talked about Raridan when talking about Jacobson, and Raridan is from Nebraska. Got Jacobs from Iowa, so yes, a very similar part of the country. I like Notre Dame for Frizzell and Fitzgerald. I think it's just a matter of time before the Irish get those two. Moving along, Notre Dame would love to get Grayson McHugh as its 5th offensive line commit in this class from LaSalle College in the state of Pennsylvania. Number 277 overall player, number 21 offensive tackle. I think that 24/7 and ESPN are gonna. Well, I don't know about ESPN, but I would be surprised if 24/7 didn't move him up to a 4-star. With ESPN, you just don't know because they don't really do a whole lot with rankings. I think he's gonna be shooting up the boards for rankings. Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas battle. I don't know, man. I this is one of those. I don't know what else to say. I've said so much about McHugh. I think Notre Dame ends up getting him if like the academics is as important to him as I hear it is. I don't think Penn's like I'm not trying to dog on Penn State academically, but I would assume it's not as good as Notre Dame. So, but we'll see. It's Penn State's always tough to beat for a PA kid, but I like Notre Dame here.
Today was the first day I saw you say it's McHugh. I think it's McKee. I don't know, but I'll just say Grayson. And I saw him in person for the first time today, and looks a lot like Gregory Patrick in terms of being a more lean offensive lineman. Grayson made the switch to offensive line this year, so not surprised that he's a little bit more on the slender side. He's listed at 280 pounds. If he's actually 280 right now, with his current frame,
yeah,
he can be legit. Because he can easily add another 40 pounds, I would say.
yeah,
I would have no reservations about that. So no surprise that there's been some Joe Alt commotion on the Grayson McKee front in terms of how he projects at the next level.
yeah.
So yeah, I know Notre Dame would love to complete the class with him, and boy, that would be another just grand slam.
Yeah. It's like
Offensive
Notre
line
Dame.
hall.
Yeah, Notre Dame has like a really good group right now, and you can top it with McHugh. That would be quite impressive. His teammate, Joey O'Brien, 6'4", 180-pound, two-way athlete, elite prospect. Just doing some digging this week. I wrote about this at Blue and Gold. You can find more details there. You know, when we get some comments on YouTube every once in a while, all these guys do is talk about their website. Yeah, that's our bread and butter. You guys get some crumbs on the YouTube channel, but if you really want to know more about recruiting, Notre Dame recruiting, you just have to be a member of the website. You do. We were just talking about Grayson McHugh and O-line recruiting. I was like, man, there's another guy we could be talking about who Notre Dame could be offering, but you don't know about him if you're not on the website. So check out blueandgold.com. So it's just what you have to do. For Joey, dude, I think Notre Dame's the team to beat ahead of his decision in 7 days. I think Penn State is actually slipping or has slipped. I don't see Oregon. If it's Notre Dame or Clemson for Joey O'Brien, I kind of like Notre Dame. And I like Notre Dame getting the last visit ahead of a June 20th decision. I think that March 17th prediction of last year by your boy might end up being right, Kyle.
I think Penn State hurt themselves with the early OV. I don't know why Penn State wanted to do those mid-May official visits, because they've given Joey O'Brien the opportunity to get out to a Clemson and experience their official visit weekend and see the Tigers get some momentum. They've seen Joey O'Brien going out to Eugene for the third time since April, and the Ducks are building up some momentum in this recruitment. But Notre Dame's been the one that, like we said earlier with who were we talking about when we were talking about Kari Adams, that it's always been, Penn State and Notre Dame and Oregon, Notre Dame and Clemson. Notre Dame's been the common theme here. And for a recruit that seems to be impressed after every one of his latest visits, how could you not want to be Notre Dame and have a final official visit before his commitment decision? I think that bodes incredibly well for Notre Dame. I think that's a huge deal. I think sometimes we overrate how important the last visit is, but with Joey O'Brien, I think that's really important, because every time this kid has left campus within the last year, How many times have our sources been telling us that they think they get him? How many
Yeah.
times has Joey O'Brien told Steve Wilfong and other people that Notre Dame's at the top of his recruitment after his visit? So Notre Dame's got to be competitive here in the NIL space, and I think they will be. And I hope you're ready to buckle up next week because reporting on this recruitment is going to get crazy, I think.
Yeah.
Ahead of next Friday's decision date.
So we've talked about 19 of 21 official visitors on campus right now in South Bend. Nick Reddish from Charlotte Independent, someone we haven't talked about a lot recently. It's been a couple months since he's been to campus. Reddish, very talented, missed his junior year. So I think that kind of impacted his recruiting stock, both from an offers and a ranking standpoint, but still pretty solid list. Lots of ACC, Big Ten programs, few SEC schools have offered him. And yeah, Reddish told me after his April visit that Notre Dame was his leader. And now I'm not 100% sure. It's not as much of a lock now as I thought, maybe 2 months ago. But yeah, I definitely could see the Irish landing Reddish. Very good player, like a nickel strong safety type. Hits hard, smart, instinctive, like Nick Reddish a lot.
I've always wondered about Virginia Tech in this recruitment with his brother Quentin Reddish being there, but I know in checking in with a couple people in the spring after Nick Reddish visited, the sentiment was all shared that Notre Dame was far and away the leader. But some time has passed, and hey, I think this official visit could do some pretty big things in terms of Notre Dame standing in his recruitment. When I saw him this morning, he had a smile from ear to ear. He was lit up, and you could tell it was genuine excitement when he arrived on campus. So,
yeah. One of the fastest players in the class is Braden Robinson from Red Oak, Texas, arrived in South Bend, or I should say in the Goog this morning. Number 350 overall player, number 54 wide receiver. One of the head-scratching rankings for me. I think he's awesome. On3 ranks him as a number 77 overall player. Just an absolute playmaker, man. 5'8", he's shorter, 155 pounds. Very productive. Like one of the more stats are similar to Caden Finley's, who had a stupendous junior season. I logged him to go to Notre Dame a while back in April, and don't feel as good now because the receiver board has expanded, with offers to, guys like Devin Fitzgerald and Ephraim White, the Florida State commit, and even Cohen Brown. But of course, he's now committed to Texas. But I still think it's Notre Dame or Miami. Arizona's probably in the third spot, and I would not be surprised if he picked Notre Dame. No surprise. If he picks Miami. No surprise. But if Notre Dame really just goes all out, if he is someone that Notre Dame's we have to have this kid, I think Notre Dame would land him. That's kind of how I feel.
yeah, I think so. And I mean, his height is a concern for me, but he has the production to prove that it doesn't matter. So, I
Yeah.
mean, he plays in one of the top classifications in one of the top states for high school football in the country. So he's seeing, Division I defensive backs on a nightly or a weekly basis. So I think that's encouraging. And I don't think Notre Dame's in the position to tell wide receivers no at this point. I think
Yeah.
you got to get as many of these guys as you can and start building some momentum at that position. And I know talking to some folks down in Texas, they rave about Braden Robinson, especially his speed. So I'll
Coach's son
trust their
too.
opinions over mine for sure.
Yeah, his dad's the head coach of Red Oak. I always love, coach's son, the NFL, or coach's son or NFL son, or whatever. I think that the pedigree is always a neat thing. Well, if you're just joining us, Kyle and I have been talking about Notre Dame's official visitors, all 21 of them in this video. So we're at an hour, 4 minutes. We're going to wrap it up there. Maybe breathe a little bit, but probably not. It's going to be a busy, busy weekend. So lock into blueandgold.com. We already have an updates thread going. You can catch up on some other articles. And then Sunday will be busy as we try to talk to each and every one of those official visitors. So if Notre Dame if Notre Dame is going to sign a top 5 class, they need this weekend to be a big success. Keep guys like, Thomas Davis Jr. in the class and the rest of the commits, and then land some of their top targets. If they don't, it's an unsuccessful weekend. You're probably looking around the 10 to 11 range. So huge weekend for Notre Dame in the future of the Fighting Irish football program. That is going to do it for this show. Appreciate you all. Hit the thumbs up if you have not done so yet. And as always, we'll catch you next time.